Leroy Iban, a man of quiet strength and unwavering resolve, dedicated over 2 decades of his life to one of the most challenging jobs imaginable, a corrections officer at Rikers Island. His journey into the heart of the New York City jail system began simply enough, a young man looking for stability and a steady paycheck. Little did he know this career choice would lead him into a world few ever see, a world of hardened criminals, simmering tensions, and the ever-present potential for chaos. Iban's story is not for the faint of heart. It's a raw and unfiltered account of life on the inside, told from the perspective of a man who witnessed firsthand the darkest corners of humanity. Over his 20-year tenure, he encountered a diverse cast of characters: hardened killers, petty thieves, the mentally ill, and those simply caught in the gears of the justice system. He patrolled the cell blocks, broke up fights, and oversaw the daily routines of thousands of inmates. Through it all, Iban developed an intimate understanding of the complex ecosystem that is Rikers Island. He saw the despair, the violence, and the indifference, but he also witnessed moments of humanity, resilience, and even humor that flickered amidst the darkness. This is his story. Rikers Island. The name itself conjures up images of grim foreboding, a place where hope goes to die. Surrounded by the murky waters of the East River, this sprawling complex of 10 jails houses a city within a city, a microcosm of New York's underbelly. For Iban, stepping onto the island for the first time was like entering a different world, one governed by its own set of rules and driven by a constant undercurrent of tension. The air hung heavy with the stench of sweat, urine, and disinfectant, a potent cocktail that seemed to cling to everything. Clanging metal doors, the echoing shouts of inmates, and the shrill blare of alarms formed a constant symphony of chaos. Violence was an ever-present threat, simmering just below the surface, ready to erupt at any moment. The sheer scale of Rikers was overwhelming. Thousands of inmates, each with their own story, their own demons, were crammed into overcrowded cell blocks, their lives on hold as they awaited trial or served out their sentences. The weight of their collective despair was palpable, a heavy blanket that threatened to suffocate even the most hardened soul. Yet, amidst the grime and the despair, there was a strange sense of community. Inmates formed bonds with each other, guards developed grudging respect for certain prisoners, and a strange sort of equilibrium emerged. Among the many grim realities of prison life, solitary confinement stands out as one of the most psychologically damaging. Known simply as the hole, it's a place where inmates are sent for punishment, for their own protection, or sometimes for no discernible reason at all. Iban, during his time at Rikers, had the unsettling task of escorting inmates to solitary and witnessing firsthand the toll it took on their minds. The isolation of solitary is profound. Imagine spending 23 hours a day locked in a small concrete cell with only your thoughts and the echoing silence for company. The lack of human interaction, the sensory deprivation can unravel even the most stable mind. Iban saw it happen time and time again. He tells of one inmate, a young man who had been a vibrant, if troubled soul before his stint in solitary. After weeks in the hole, he emerged a shadow of his former self, withdrawn, paranoid, and prone to fits of rage. The experience had broken him, leaving him unable to function in the general population. Another story recounts the lengths to which inmates would go to break the monotony. He observed them whispering to themselves, engaging in elaborate conversations with imaginary companions, anything to fill the deafening silence. Some resorted to self-harm, carving messages into their flesh or banging their heads against the walls, driven to the brink by the crushing isolation. Despite the inherent darkness of his surroundings, Iban discovered that even in the depths of Rikers, humor could be found. It was a coping mechanism, a way for both inmates and guards to maintain their sanity in the face of such bleak circumstances. Dark humor became a shared language, a way to acknowledge the absurdity of their situation and find moments of levity amidst the despair. He recalls one incident involving a particularly cunning inmate who had fashioned a makeshift fishing rod out of a mop handle and dental floss. His goal to snag a bag of chips from the guard station, which was positioned just beyond the bars of his cell. The audacity of the attempt, the sheer ingenuity of it, had the guards laughing in spite of themselves. Another anecdote recounts a talent show organized by the inmates, featuring stand-up routines, musical performances, and even a Shakespearean play. The talent on display was surprisingly good, and for a few brief hours the usual tension of prison life dissipated, replaced by laughter and a sense of shared humanity. These moments of humor, however fleeting, served as a reminder that even in the most hopeless of places, the human spirit could still find a way to shine through. Section 5. The grittiness of Rikers, violence and despair. However, these lighter moments were often overshadowed by the harsh realities of life within Rikers Island. Violence was woven into the fabric of the place, an ever-present threat that could erupt with little to no warning. Iban bore witness to countless fights, stabbings, and riots, each incident etching itself into his memory. He describes the sickening thud of fist against flesh, the chilling glint of a shiv in the dim light, the primal fear that pulsed through the air in those moments before violence exploded. He saw young men, barely old enough to shave, hardened into killers by the unforgiving environment, their eyes devoid of hope or remorse. The despair, too, was palpable. The crushing weight of poverty, addiction, and mental illness hung heavy on the shoulders of many inmates. Iban encountered individuals who had been failed by the system time and time again, trapped in a cycle of incarceration that seemed impossible to escape. He saw the toll that long sentences took on families, the way visits dwindled over time, leaving inmates feeling forgotten and alone. The grittiness of Rikers was inescapable, a constant reminder of the dark underbelly of society and the human capacity for both cruelty and despair. Section 6. The faces of Rikers, inmates, and their stories. Over his 2 decades at Rikers, Iban encountered a vast and varied cast of characters, each inmate with their own unique story to tell. He learned to look beyond the